And of course, the normal way of things isn't normal yet. So we're not necessarily doing the things that we would normally have done with him.
The British monarchy is once again at the center of whispers, as a bold move from Prince William has sent shockwaves through Buckingham Palace.
The solutions are out there. There is real solutions to these problems.
In a decision that no one saw coming, William has approved a dramatic title change for Duchess Sophie's children, rewriting not just their status, but also reshaping the royal hierarchy itself. This unexpected shift has left the palace in deep tremors.
Because they're probably all watching this, so it's not true really, but it's quite fun watching people's reactions.
Raising questions of power, favoritism, and hidden intentions. But what exactly drove William to take this daring step, and what consequences now loom? The weight of titles. For over 25 years, Prince Edward and his wife Sophie have worked in the background of the British monarchy with a quiet determination that has often gone unnoticed by the wider public. Unlike some of their royal relatives, they never sought the limelight through drama or spectacle. Instead, they built their reputation steadily, with dedication and a sense of duty that has earned them deep respect within the royal family. At the start of their marriage, Edward and Sophie tried balancing royal duties with private business careers, but public scrutiny made it impossible. They abandoned commercial ventures and devoted themselves fully to royal service, shaping the respected role they hold today. Sophie, in particular, gained quiet influence and became especially close to Queen Elizabeth II, who valued her loyalty and discretion. Their bond was so strong that Sophie once referred to the Queen as Mama in public. Though less celebrated than Princess Anne, Sophie's steady contributions remain significant, earning her a reputation as one of the monarchy's most trusted figures. Her work has taken her far beyond the safety of palace walls and ceremonial events. She has journeyed into some of the world's most turbulent and dangerous regions, especially across Africa. From South Sudan to the Democratic Republic of Congo and Sierra Leone, she has witnessed firsthand the suffering of those caught in conflict. Her focus has been particularly strong on the issue of gender-based violence in war zones, a subject that is often ignored or silenced. By bringing attention to these hidden horrors, she has given a voice to the voiceless and dignity to those who endured the unthinkable. For her efforts, Sophie was awarded the Hillary Rodham Clinton Award, placing her in the same sphere as international humanitarian figures like Angelina Jolie. This recognition not only cemented her reputation globally, but also reinforced her value within the royal family. Observers now describe her as one of King Charles's greatest hidden strengths, his secret weapon in a monarchy that constantly needs both stability and modern relevance. Yet Sophie's influence does not stop with her. The world of royal titles is a language all its own, a coded system of power, loyalty, and future direction. Titles are not merely ceremonial. They mark out which members of the family are to be visible, which are expected to carry responsibility, and which are intended to fade into the background. That is why the recent approval by Prince William of a change in titles for Sophie's children has sparked waves of speculation. James, who was long known as Viscount Severn, has now stepped into the role of Earl of Wessex, a title once held by his father. This is no small adjustment. It elevates his status, places him firmly within the structure of the monarchy, and signals that his role is not to remain in obscurity, but to take on growing significance. Meanwhile, Lady Louise, Sophie's daughter, is gradually finding herself no longer on the sidelines. Once one of the least visible of the Queen's grandchildren, she now appears to be carefully and deliberately introduced to the public eye, with hints of greater responsibilities to come. Why does this matter? Because the monarchy, facing uncertain years ahead, cannot rely only on its most senior figures. Every generation must prepare its younger members for public duty. Titles, therefore, are more than symbols. They are preparations for the future. By giving his approval to these changes, Prince William, future king, may be signaling that he recognizes the importance of Sophie's family to the crown's survival. Some wonder if this move is also William's way of shaping the monarchy according to his own vision, even while King Charles still reigns. By ensuring that Sophie's children are recognized and elevated, he may be strengthening a branch of the family that has always proven loyal, steady, and scandal-free. The shift carries weight. It tells the world that the monarchy is adapting, rewarding quiet service over loud spectacle, and investing in those who have shown resilience. Sophie, once underestimated, now stands as one of the monarchy's central pillars. And through her, her children are being positioned not just as members of the family, but as potential future leaders in a royal machine that needs every steady hand it can find. In the end, the story is larger than one woman, one title, or one family. It is the story of a monarchy reinventing itself, guided by loyalty, service, and subtle but powerful changes that will echo for generations to come. Why would Sophie support a silent path for her children? Would she allow them to choose when they become adults? Let's find out. Why Sophie and Edward chose a different path for their children. Sophie, Duchess of Edinburgh, has always been admired for her down-to-earth nature and quiet strength within the royal family. On her 60th birthday, it is worth reflecting on one of her most candid revelations. Why she and her husband, Prince Edward, chose not to give their children the His or Her Royal Highness, HRH titles that traditionally belong to grandchildren of the monarch. The decision was first discussed publicly in 2020, when Sophie spoke openly in an interview about the reasoning behind this unusual choice. At the time, her daughter, Lady Louise Windsor, was 21, and her son James, now the Earl of Wessex, was 17. Unlike their cousins, neither Louise nor James uses the HRH style, despite technically being entitled to it by birth. According to royal tradition, the children of the monarch's sons automatically qualify for HRH status. This means Louise could be styled as Princess Louise and James as Prince James if they wished. However, their parents deliberately decided otherwise, choosing instead to raise them as the children of an earl rather than a prince. Louise is formally known as Lady Louise Mountbatten Windsor, while James carries the courtesy title Earl of Wessex, a title previously held by his father before he became Duke of Edinburgh. The choice was not made lightly. Sophie explained that she and Prince Edward wanted their children to live as normal a life as possible, unburdened by the restrictions and expectations that come with being full-time royals. In her words, "We try to bring them up with the understanding that they are very likely to have to work for a living." For the couple, shielding their children from excessive royal protocol was an act of protection. Sophie also revealed that technically Louise and James would have the right to adopt their HRH titles once they turned 18. However, she admitted that this scenario was highly unlikely. The Duchess believed her children were growing up to value independence and would not seek the formal titles that might tie them too closely to the monarchy. The royal family's modern approach reflects a shift away from expecting every member to perform official duties. Younger royals are now encouraged to balance private ambitions with limited public roles. For Sophie and Edward, this meant raising their children, Louise and James, with emphasis on education, responsibility, and self-reliance. Growing up mostly outside the spotlight, they attended regular schools and enjoyed a relatively normal upbringing. Sophie is often praised for instilling humility and practicality, shaping her children for life beyond royal titles. The Duchess's words in 2020 were simple but powerful. They have them, the titles, and can decide to use them from 18. But it's highly unlikely. In that quiet statement, she captured both the privilege of choice and the desire for a more ordinary life for her children. By stepping back from the grandeur of tradition, Sophie and Edward carved out a different kind of royal path, one rooted in modern values, preparing their children for futures where who they are matters more than the titles they hold. Could there be more to why Sophie's children have a quiet profile? Let's delve further into the details of the Edinburgh family. Sophie's quiet power and the children who could change everything. In a royal family often marked by scandal, drama, and the unrelenting gaze of the press, one figure has managed to chart a different course. While the world's attention gravitates toward King Charles, Queen Camilla, Prince William, and Princess Catherine, another royal works quietly in the background, steady as a rock and remarkably untouched by controversy. Sophie, Duchess of Edinburgh. Once overlooked in the grand scheme of the monarchy, Sophie has emerged as a trusted confidant, described by the late Queen Elizabeth II herself as her rock. Her journey into this position of quiet strength is not just the story of a woman of dignity, but also of the growing role she and her family play in shaping the future of the monarchy. When Sophie and her husband, Prince Edward, were elevated to the titles of Duke and Duchess of Edinburgh, it was far more than a ceremonial bestowal. It was a public acknowledgement of years of loyalty, service, and discretion. While other royal couples often faced intense scrutiny, whispers of scandal, or tabloid storms, Sophie and Edward stood apart. Their elevation symbolized recognition of stability in a family that has often lacked it. But Sophie's significance does not rest on titles alone. Her quiet influence extends to her children, Lady Louise Windsor and James, Earl of Wessex. Raised under the shade of her humility, they represent a refreshing contrast to the headlines that so often swirl around their royal relatives. While Lady Louise has largely been shielded from public life, the glimpses the world has seen speak volumes. With her talent for carriage driving, a sport her late grandfather, Prince Philip, adored, she connects tradition with modern grace. At public ceremonies, her calm presence and composed demeanor have not gone unnoticed. She exudes a poise beyond her years, a reminder that not all royal children grow up seeking the spotlight. Some simply inherit the ability to carry it well when it finds them. James, meanwhile, has recently stepped into a more visible role, especially with his recognition as the Earl of Wessex. Though still young, expectations surround him. In an era when the monarchy is shrinking and the demands on younger royals are growing, James may be called upon to shoulder responsibilities far sooner than he might have imagined. His new title is not just a formality. It signals the possibility of greater involvement, of a future where he will stand alongside his cousins as part of a modern, yet tradition-bound monarchy. Together, Louise and James embody something the royal family desperately needs: a new generation untainted by scandal. Their upbringing has been sheltered but not indulgent, shaped by Sophie's insistence on humility rather than entitlement. Unlike some of their royal peers, they were not raised in the blinding center of attention, but in the steady, guiding light of their parents' quiet values. This deliberate approach may well prove to be the monarchy's hidden strength as it adapts to the 21st century. At the heart of it all is Sophie herself. Her influence has not been loud, but it has been lasting. She models a kind of royal service rooted in dignity rather than drama, in grace rather than grandstanding. Those who know her describe her as approachable and grounded, qualities rare and precious in the rarefied world of royalty. By raising her children away from arrogance and close to tradition, she has built a foundation the monarchy will one day rely upon. The recent decision by Prince William to approve changes to the titles of Sophie's children is telling. It suggests that he views Lady Louise and James not merely as younger cousins, but as future allies. With the monarchy shrinking in active numbers, every loyal hand and every steady heart becomes critical. William's recognition indicates his awareness that, in the years to come, the crown will depend not only on him and Catherine, but also on the extended family members who embody trust, discretion, and service. For now, Sophie continues her work without fuss, often unnoticed by those too distracted by louder royal dramas. Yet in her shadow, a quiet legacy grows. In Lady Louise and James, there lies the promise of a future monarchy that blends tradition with modern promise, grace without scandal, loyalty without noise. And perhaps in the end, this is Sophie's greatest achievement, not only earning the trust of a queen and the respect of a nation, but ensuring that her children carry forward a legacy of service defined not by controversy, but by character. While they shield their children from the spotlight, do they perform their duties as members of the royal family? Let's dig into the details of their roles in the royal family. The quiet strength of Edward and Sophie. In the world of royalty, where headlines are often dominated by scandals, dazzling ceremonies, or the louder personalities of the crown, some figures move with quiet determination and grace. Over the past 25 years, Prince Edward and his wife, Sophie, Duchess of Edinburgh, have been two such figures. Their influence has not been about grand gestures or public drama, but rather about reliability, loyalty, and a calm presence that has earned them an invaluable place within the monarchy. When they first stepped into their royal roles, Edward and Sophie attempted to walk a delicate line. They wanted to balance life as senior working royals with their private business ventures. For a time, it seemed like an innovative way to blend tradition with modern independence. However, the arrangement soon proved too complicated, attracting criticism and raising questions about conflicts of interest. Recognizing this, they stepped away from the business world and devoted themselves fully to their royal duties. That decision, made with little fuss, became a turning point, showing their willingness to adapt for the sake of the monarchy's stability. It was Sophie in particular who grew into an especially trusted figure within the royal circle. She became more than a daughter-in-law to the late Queen Elizabeth II. She became a confidant. In a heartfelt public speech, Sophie even referred to the Queen as Mama, a gesture that revealed both affection and respect. Though she never commanded the same level of public attention as Princess Anne, Sophie carved out a quiet but powerful role of her own. Her bond with the Queen, coupled with her steady composure, earned her admiration not only from the royal family, but also from the wider public. What makes Sophie stand out is not simply her role in the palace, but the way she has thrown herself into humanitarian work across some of the most troubled parts of the world. While many royals focus on domestic engagements, Sophie traveled to war-torn regions, including South Sudan, Sierra Leone, and the Democratic Republic of Congo. These visits were not mere photo opportunities. They reflected her commitment to amplifying the voices of women and children who endured unimaginable suffering. Her advocacy drew attention to the horrors of gender-based violence in conflict zones, a subject often overlooked on the global stage. Sophie's dedication did not go unnoticed. For her tireless work in raising awareness and driving change, she received the Hillary Rodham Clinton Award. The honor placed her alongside globally recognized advocates, including actress and humanitarian Angelina Jolie, who also champions similar causes. This recognition highlighted Sophie's transformation from a lesser-known royal to a respected international figure in humanitarian work. Royal commentators have often described Sophie as King Charles' secret weapon. While not as high-profile as other members of the family, her ability to connect with people, her proven resilience, and her global advocacy add strength to the monarchy in ways that are less visible but deeply significant. She brings a mixture of compassion, humility, and persistence that reflects the modern role of royalty, serving not just as figureheads, but as advocates for real change. Together with Prince Edward, Sophie has shown that the monarchy's survival is not only about kings and queens at the top, but also about those who quietly uphold its dignity behind the scenes. Their understated but invaluable service has helped maintain stability during turbulent times. In Sophie's case, her courage to step into the world's most dangerous spaces and give a voice to the voiceless has ensured that her legacy will be more than ceremonial. In a royal world often dominated by spectacle, Sophie's story is one of quiet strength. Proof that sometimes the most powerful influence is carried not in noise or grandeur, but in steady dedication and genuine compassion. While the decision looks unexpected for many, the source keeps others startled. Is Prince William ready to take over? Could this decision be a move in the right direction? Let's find out. Strategy or fate? The British monarchy has always been a delicate balance of tradition and transformation, a centuries-old institution that must look timeless while still finding ways to survive in a modern world. Today, that balancing act feels more fragile than ever. Questions are swirling. Is the change unfolding inside the palace the result of a carefully crafted strategy, or is it simply history forcing its hand upon a weary crown? Every shift in the monarchy seems quiet, almost invisible at first glance. Yet when examined closely, they carry meaning. Prince William's influence can already be seen in subtle moves, none more striking than his quiet effort to bring Sophie's children, Lady Louise Windsor and James, Earl of Wessex, closer to the center of royal life. In an era where the monarchy faces the reality of a slimmed-down model, William appears to be preparing for a future where fewer royals perform official duties, but the crown remains just as visible, just as powerful in public imagination. For King Charles, these changes may feel both inevitable and urgent. Now 76 and facing the frailties of illness, his reign already seems narrowed. Once a long-awaited future, his time on the throne is proving to be less expansive than he might have hoped. He wears the crown, but the pressure of mortality shadows every step. Beside him, Queen Camilla works to secure her place in history. For years she has been a controversial figure, tied forever to the memory of Diana, the people's princess. Now as queen consort, she leans heavily on carefully staged appearances, designed to project relevance and stability. Yet beneath the polished smile lies a deeper battle, the struggle not to be overshadowed or forgotten in the grand narrative of the monarchy. Meanwhile, Princess Anne, ever dutiful, remains a pillar of strength. Stoic and steady, she has long been considered the monarchy's hardest worker. She represents an older style of royalty, reserved, relentless, and uncomplaining. But Anne is only one person, and even her shoulders cannot carry the weight of the crown forever. Against this backdrop stands William, the heir. Calm, deliberate, and strategic, he seems less a passive prince waiting for destiny, and more a leader already shaping the monarchy's path. He watches, plans, and quietly guides. His vision is not one of expansion, but of streamlining, making the monarchy lighter, leaner, yet sharper in its influence. Each step he takes appears to prepare for a reign not yet his, but one he seems to be rehearsing for daily. The question that lingers is whether these shifts are deliberate choices or the unavoidable results of external forces. Is William quietly orchestrating the monarchy's next chapter, or is he merely reacting to tides beyond his control? Public skepticism, relentless media attention, and the enduring shadow of his mother, Princess Diana. The monarchy does not exist in isolation. It lives and dies in the court of public opinion. Britain today is not the Britain of Elizabeth II's youth. It is more diverse, more questioning, less deferential. Younger generations weigh royal privilege against economic struggles and wonder if a monarchy is still necessary. William knows this. His actions reflect a man not only preparing to rule, but to defend the very survival of the crown. And yet, as with all things royal, the full truth remains elusive. What unfolds in the spotlight may be theater, deliberate gestures crafted for cameras and headlines. What unfolds behind the palace walls may be the real story, hidden from view. Strategy and survival intertwine in ways outsiders can only guess. The monarchy, after all, has always thrived on mystery. It shows just enough to keep the public enthralled while guarding its most vital secrets. Today, with Charles facing illness, Camilla fighting for relevance, Anne holding steady, and William already shaping the institution's tomorrow, the Windsors find themselves at a turning point. The stage is set for a future that feels both uncertain and inevitable. Whether guided by careful planning or driven by forces too vast to resist, the monarchy is moving toward William's era. The question is not if, but how and whether. When the crown finally rests on his head, the institution he inherits will still command the loyalty of a changing nation. In the end, the truth, like so much in royal life, remains half-hidden. What is visible may be performance. What remains concealed may be the heart of the story. And it is in that space between spectacle and secrecy that the monarchy continues to survive. What are the likely implications of this and similar moves on the future of he monarchy? Is the monarchy ready for the groundbreaking changes that are yet to come? Let's delve into the details of how the crown is being reshaped. Whose tomorrow? The monarchy has never been a fixed monument of history. It is not carved in stone, untouched by time, but rather a living organism that bends, reshapes, and reinvents itself to survive. Every age has demanded its own version of the crown, and every generation of royals has found ways to adapt, sometimes loudly with grand reforms, sometimes quietly with subtle gestures. Today, another reshaping is happening before the world's eyes. It is not announced with fanfare, nor shouted in press conferences. It is silent, careful, almost invisible, and yet it is undeniable. Look closely at the carefully chosen titles. Notice the unexpected absences from grand events. Pay attention to the controlled smiles in staged photographs. Behind each small detail lies something larger, a shift in the balance of power within the House of Windsor. The monarchy is not collapsing. The crown is not tumbling to the ground. Rather, it is being rebalanced, gently molded for the years ahead. It is not a fall, but a transformation. And as the world peers in, holding its collective breath, questions ripple through every royal corridor and echo across dinner tables, newsrooms, and social media feeds alike. Is Prince William preparing to rule far sooner than anyone expected? His public presence grows stronger, his speeches more commanding, his image crafted with increasing precision. Each appearance seems less like a supporting role and more like a rehearsal for the throne. Is Queen Camilla quietly stepping back? Her presence appears less pronounced, her appearances fewer. Some whisper that her retreat signals the beginning of an eclipse, the slow fading of her influence within the palace. Has King Charles, at 76, already transitioned into a symbolic figurehead, his authority reduced more in practice than in name? For many, his reign feels marked less by assertion and more by transition, as though the true power is already moving past him, slipping toward the next generation. And above all, the haunting question, whose crown will it truly be tomorrow? Will it rest fully on Charles's head for long? Or is history preparing to hasten its pace, pushing William forward before the kingdom expects? There are no official answers. No press release will confirm it. No royal speech will lay bare the shifting dynamics. That is not how the monarchy survives. Its strength lies in silence, in the art of leaving things unsaid. It thrives not on declarations, but on whispers, not on what the world sees, but on what it suspects. And right now, those whispers are louder than any proclamation. They say that the crown, though steady in appearance, is in motion beneath the surface. They hint that roles are being redefined, that power is flowing in new directions, that history is being written in quiet ink behind palace walls. The monarchy has always been a mirror of its time, adapting to storms and shifting with the winds of change. And as the present reshaping unfolds, one truth stands above all else. The greatest secrets of the crown are not hidden in archives or locked away in vaults. They are happening now, before our very eyes, silent, subtle, but impossible to ignore. The world waits, the crown whispers, and the future edges closer, reshaping destiny in the quietest of ways. So, what do you think about Sophie's reasons for keeping her children out of the spotlight? We would love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to like and subscribe.